In a little while, we come to a small shop beside a convenience store. For once, the store windows aren't filled with electronics and computer games, but dolls, stuffed bears, and all manners of wood-crafted oddities. Othello's Antiques? An antique store. Well, if there's anything in this town that suit Hanako, I guess it'd be here. I reach for the old-looking door handle, but pull back at the last minute as I realize my companion's gone adrift. Not coming in? I'll just be in the newsstand for a while, don't mind me. His voice makes it painfully clear as he has zero interest in what's in store, and that he doesn't feel obligated to follow me. As he wanders off without another word, I push the thick wooden door and enter the store, a bell above me ringing out. The musty smell of old books and wooden shelves is distinctly anachronistic. Nice word usage. I look to the counter beside the door. The graying man behind it sits there silently, reading a tattered book. He certainly fits the look of the place. Slowly wandering through the aisles, the person I'm reminded of as I inspect each handcrafted or imported oddity in turn isn't Hanako. Crouching down, I examine an ancient oak desk inside the shop window. At least 30 dolls, all varying wildly in size and make. The only similarity between them is the long Victorian dresses they wear. I turn the price tag of one that looks to be about waist height. It's not in my price bracket at all. I mean, if you go to an antique store, usually you're going to be finding things that are just well beyond most people's price ranges. For example, there was a story with my wife where she loves antiques. She wants to go to antique stores all the time. And we went to an antique store where we found an armoire, and she wanted it. It was a pretty impressive armoire, but it was like $5,000. And she's like, please, 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 can we get this? And I'm just like, oh, no, we will not. We will go broke. We will not be able to pay our bills for next month if we do this. So I was like, let's just hold off. Let's find somewhere better to buy an armoire, okay? And so we looked at the other antique stores, and we found another armoire at a different antique store. And this one was selling for $500. That's like 10 less. And I'm like, do you like this one? And she's like, yeah, I like it too. Do you want to buy it? And she's like, in lieu of the other one? I'm like, yes. Yes. She's like, okay. And so we bought the armoire for $500. I saved myself $4,500. Oh, gosh. Antiques are not cheap. Not by a long shot. But you got to go shopping around to find the good deals, though. Because they are out there. I do the same to each of them, getting more and more depressed as they get smaller and smaller in size. Aww. That is until I reach the very smallest one. It's affordable, yet just of quality make and with long auburn hair and a little blue dress. I decide that if it's the kind of person Hanako would appreciate, pretty looking and far from gaudy. After I carefully pick it up, I decide to keep looking around the store. I'm not sure whether it's because I like the atmosphere or out of simple curiosity. Peeking around the corner before I go to the next aisle, I see that the shelves in this one are stocked with wooden toys, from toy cars to intricate automatons. Tucked behind a line of nutcrackers, I notice a plain little wooden box. It feels surprisingly light as I pick it up with my free hand. The lid only needs the smallest movement to pop open. The little metal drum inside beginning to rotate immediately. For seconds on end, I simply stand there listening to the palm-sized melody. As it plays, I take the tiny press tag in my fingers and bring it up to my face, the minuscule cursive writing taking some effort to read. It's affordable, sort of. You know, this would actually be a very nice present for Lilly, just the sound of it. Grimacing slightly, I close the lid and make my way to the counter with doll and a music box in hand. There goes all my money for the month. When I lay the two on the counter, the man behind it sits up and takes stock of them. He doesn't hide very well his surprise at someone of my age buying them. It's painful, but I hand over the money for the two and leave the store with a small, opaque bag in my hand. Hitakai being there takes me by surprise. Oh, hi, I thought you'd be at the newsstand. Akira gave me a call. She's waiting for us at the fountain with Lilly. At least that solves the issue of trying to find them again. We head back off to the fountain. Hitakai's immaculate posture and presentation, despite his appearance, makes for a strange contrast even as we walk. Lilly and Akira stand there waiting for us, their faces hard to read. Hey, you ready to go, Shorty? Hitakai's mood seems to improve as he rejoins her. See ya, Lilly, Hisao. Tell Hanako I said happy birthday. We will. Bye. Goodbye, Akira. And with that, the two disappear into the fracas of the afternoon city crowd. Haven't heard that word in a while. Turning to Lilly, I know she's carrying a small bag. It's now that I realize why her disposition felt different from before. While Lily's typically the type to wear her emotions on her sleeve, her expression and tone are clouded and difficult to read. It's more than a little off-putting, but given the effort she's making to hide her emotions, I doubt she wants to be cornered on why she's feeling this way. Already bought Hanako a present? Yes, have you? Yep. Shall we head back to the bus stop then? Okay, there should be a bus back to Yamaku pretty soon. And with that, we begin to walk. I feel strange compared to before. Lily's hand on my forearm feels unusually tense, and the whole atmosphere is extraordinarily awkward. The silence continues for a long while. I really don't like seeing her like this. Hanako's birthday party is going to be held earlier. Is the 4th going to be alright for you? I have no other possible obligations anyway, so I reflexively nod. Only afterwards do I remember that doing so is pointless, and quickly answer so by speech. She tries to collect herself, a task that looks almost pitiable, and how plain it is to see how distant her thoughts are. Sorry, Hisa, you said the bus would be coming soon, right? That's right. But now that she says that, I have no idea. Or, I have an idea, sorry. Actually, do you have anything to do later today? I don't believe so. Why do you ask? This is the point where I'd normally take your hand and rush you somewhere, but even without that, you'll have to trust me, okay? I take her hand and gently lead her on, her distant face replaced by one of mild surprise and curiosity. As the waitress sets the cup of tea and cup of coffee that I'd ordered onto the table, I thank her before she takes her leave. Truth be told, I really lucked out in finding this cafe. I didn't really know where I was going. Rather, I was just looking for any cafe that looked relatively nice. Anything to prolong this day with Lily. Having managed to recover a little, Lily tentatively sips at her cup as I take the long gulp of the coffee in front of me. As I hoped, her face lights up as she realizes what flavor it is. Ah, this is wonderful. Lisa, how did you know that this was... I'd asked for French vanilla black tea, hedging my bets that it would be her favorite flavor, or at least one she liked. While I don't really know much about tea, it sounded like one she might appreciate. On the basis of her liking vanilla ice cream, a tea connoisseur I am definitely not. It was a lucky guess. You really like tea, don't you? She puts her teacup down and gives a tiny nod, a familiar small smile thankfully perched on her face once again. Drinking tea is calming, I think. With the amount you drink, are you sure you're not addicted to it? Caffeine addiction is pretty common nowadays. Did I ever say I wasn't? Whew! Touché! She lets out a giggle as my head drops. We all have our vices, I suppose, and there are worse things to be addicted to. Like video games! Which is why I'm here! Must play! French vanilla black tea, huh? I'll have to remember that. For a while, we both silently drink. It's comforting to have someone like her nearby in such new surroundings, even if it's just the two of us sitting in silence. I begin to wonder if this feeling is the same for her until she sets down her cup. Hisa, do you mind if I ask you a slightly odd question? That depends on the question, I guess. I was wondering what your favorite color is. Everyone has one after all. I almost replied with that before realizing why this seemingly mundane question is actually quite strange. My favorite color, but... She gives a pouting look, wanting me to answer anyway. While the answer seems unavoidably wasted on her, there isn't any harm in giving it. I've always had a thing for green. I'd say that's my favorite. And as a matter of fact, that's actually my favorite too. I love green. I love the green of the forests, of the mountains. That is... If my wife was an ocean baby, I'm a forest baby. I just love being in the woods. That is where I feel the most comfortable at. I love going for hikes, so... If anybody ever visits me and everything, we should go hiking. Green, is it? What things do you think of when contemplating that color? I suppose grass fields and trees in summer, the army as well, with camouflage. Men always seem to like the military. That sounds like a nice color, a very nice color. She nods her head a little as if approving of the choice. Considering how foreign the concept of color is to her mind, labeling it by association seems reasonable enough. If everyone has a favorite color, then what's yours? White. I'm told that's the color of snow and of ice cream. You're no better than me, then. If you only like the color because of a favorite food, I guess white is nice, too, though. And speaking of colors, it'll begin dark soon. Let me help you up. Lily offers her hand, which I take in mine to help lever her up from her seat at the table. Its softness compared to mine takes me off guard. as I'm not really used to such casual contact. It doesn't seem to bother her at all, though. While it seems obvious why, it feels like just one more ladylike aspect to her. As her hand moves to her pocket, I quickly cut her off. Don't worry, I'll pay for this. Well, thank you, Hisao. She gives an earnest smile at the gesture, a reward much greater than that of her words. By the time we step off the bus, it's well and truly dark. We make our way up the hill in silence, both of us behaving a little awkwardly, probably because of the day's events. This was honestly our first date. While I'm still concerned over Lily's withdrawn nature after meeting with her sister, the fact I managed to cheer her up even slightly feels like a personal victory. But it feels like the air between us has changed. Maybe it's only a little bit, but it's something I don't think either of us have realized before. That was a date, wasn't it? You darn right it was! It doesn't elude either of us, the question's answer being so self-evident as to be rhetorical. Awkward as it may be, I don't think this feeling is bad. In fact, quite the opposite. I don't know what it is, I certainly can't be sure, but it feels like something a little more than friendship. And this is awesome, actually. I think this is just amazing that we have a game which treats the dating between someone more or less... Gosh, I'm gonna, totally bury myself a 6-foot grave, but someone who doesn't have, a physical limitation like blindness, dating someone with blindness and having it be so normal, so casual, and just it doesn't even factor into the overall relationship. They're in it for each other, and I think that the way it's being portrayed so far is brilliant. I like it. I like the way this particular relationship is being handled so far. Understanding, empathy, searching for words to adequately describe it is difficult. Nonetheless, would you like to do this again sometime, Lily, without shopping for presents? The tentative question is met with the same look from Lily as before. Her pale skin makes the rosy tint of her cheeks just slightly more noticeable than her face, though still pointed to the street ahead of her, lowers just a little. Okay. Oh, was that it? Okay. Didn't even get to say goodbye to each other or something. Okay. So that was our first date together. And it looks like I'm now in the girls' dormitories. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble now. So we're going to make a quick save here. And I think the relationship between Hisao and Lily has reached a new milestone. Before, we were just kind of friends with a little bit of a sort of attraction to each other, but I think we've now crossed a sort of barrier that was once between us to a point where now we're looking at each other as something more, as something beyond friendship, now into a type of relationship that's a little more personal. And I think this particular date, even though it was for shopping for Hanako, is actually just the start of something bigger and better for these two. So this is now getting into the relationship aspect of this game that I've heard is so big on hitting you in the feels. So they're slowly building this up between these two characters, and I don't know how many more acts this game has, actually, or for whatever route I'm on, but just being in Act 2, I like the slow pace this is building up. It's realistic in how it's handling the progression of this particular relationship between Lily and Hisao. So, unidentified drinking object is the next scene, so we'll see what that's all about, and see, maybe we're dealing with Hanako's birthday next. Who knows? We might have skipped another jump in time, just like the previous one, where it was a week time skip. Now it could be several weeks of time skip, so we'll see. So until the next episode, everybody, see you later.